excited to be here. Guys, wasn't Garen set amazing? Give him a big round of applause. That was such a sick set. He's so good. I think I did the math on it. I think he just told us that he has a 9-inch dick. I think that's what he just said. So he really doesn't need to win this competition because he's won already, guys. That's a 9-inch dick on a Chinese guy. That is a fucking epic thing. All he needs is a white girlfriend and he's the winner. You're the fucking winner is what I'm saying. That's exactly all that just happened. It just sounded like he bragged all about that and I loved it. Love that. I'm jealous. I'm so happy to be here though. I am from Canada. It is a little bit different. Yeah, it is a little bit different in Canada. You know, like anytime that I'm just chilling in Canada, I'll have a lot of, this is a game that people like to play there that I'd love to stop. It's called the Guess Your Race game. I have like strangers come up to me and they're like, "You're Japanese, right? You're Japanese, right?" And I don't know if this ever happened to you guys. It's a little uncomfortable, right? Because I just have to be like, "Oh, actually, I'm not." And then I go to like try and explain to them what my race is, and then the wife would be like, "Oh, actually, I think he's Korean. I think this guy's Korean for sure." They're like trying to talk it out, you know, trying to figure out what's correct. And then a third person kind of like gets out of nowhere and is like, "Actually, he's from the Ming Dynasty." I was like, the first two are offensive, but that one's not even offensive because my Chinese name is Ming. And Dynasty is my stripper name, so it works out pretty good. Yeah, all right. Hey, lap dances. I could do this shit. I might have to earn it though, right? That's what we're doing. Yeah. Did you just raise your hand there? Is that what's happening? Is that why you sat in the front row? Is that what you want right now? But my name is Anto Chan, so it's like ants like the insect, toe like my foot, and Chan like my face. And these are my mandatory Chinese jokes I have to like get out of the way at the beginning, you know? Like I am from like Toronto, so I do a lot of small towns around there, and like they just need me to like actually honor the race thing immediately, right? I can't just be a person, you know, I can't just be the person that I am. Like I also work with children and I try and talk about that stuff. They're like, "Get back to the stuff about your face," you know, like they'll yell weird shit, you know? And so, but I do work with kids and I love it. I work with kids, it's really fun. Like I work in a daycare, so I have no credentials pretty much as like an actual teacher. Like none of them call me teacher or anything like that. They're just like Anto, and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, what's up?" And then they'll like say really fucked up things, right? So the one kid came up to me and we're all trying to like tell each other some jokes and stuff like that. So it was actually right around Valentine's Day and I'm like, how does the sun, you know, really make the snowman feel? It melts its heart. And then the kid's like, "Oh, that's nice. Oh, that's really nice." And then the other kid's like, "I'm gonna try and tell a joke," right? And it's like a 4-year-old kid. So like a 4-year-old kid has no process of what an actual joke at all is, right? So he's like, "Why did the lettuce go into the police station?" And everybody's like, "Oh, this is gonna be a good one. You know, this kid seems to know what he's doing. He did the question thing, excellent." And then the kid's like, "Because he wanted to meet a police officer." And everybody else is like, "Okay, sure, cool." But then like everybody was smiling at him, so the kid continued on. He's like, "And then the lettuce didn't have any eyes, so he couldn't find the police officer. And then when he met a police officer, he didn't." And we were like, "Okay, kid, we're like, I think you're done, man. You know, like you're finished. Your time right now. We're just gonna move on." But the best one was there's this little girl that she was just like really impressed that everybody was listening to these jokes. She's like, "Why did my parents not come to my swim meet?" And everybody's like, "Why?" She's like, "Because they don't care about me." And everybody started cheering, and I was like, "Oh my god, that is some savage shit." Like that is savage. Like if the parents heard that, that'd be emotionally damaging forever. But the kids seemed to like it. They really liked it. But the other day though, it was even more like the kids are all about like in Toronto. These kids always come up to me and they're like, "Anto, you gotta be like more real, you know?" That's what they always say to me. We're real. We're really real." And then one of the kids asked me. She was like, you know, "How old are you, Anto?" And I was like, "Oh, 18, you know, just like fucking with her." And she's like, "Oh my god, that's so old. That's kind of gross." Like that's what they were like, "Oh, that's kind of gross," right? And I was like, "Actually, I'm 32. That's what I told her. I was like, "I'm 32. And she's like, "Oh my god, that's like almost as old as my mom." And I was like, yeah, I guess that's kind of older. And she's like, "How come no woman loves you?" And then I was like, that's, just to let you know, that's kind of offensive, right? And she's like, "I'm just trying to be real with you. I'm just trying to be," that's what she kept saying, right? "I'm just trying to be real with you," right? And then I was like, actually, yeah, if we're gonna be really real, it's not that no woman loves me, it's because I couldn't love myself. And I like looked at her like right in her eyes, and then she was just like, oh. And I was like, is that real enough for you? And then she was just like, oh my god, like I felt like she was gonna cry for me. It was so beautiful, like really fucking with this kid, you know what I mean? Like forever, she's gonna remember that. I'm like, is that the real shit you're looking for, right? But the craziest thing though, with working with kids and stuff like that, like just to let you know, as my set advances, it just is gonna get more X-rated and fucked up, right? So this was the PG area of the time. We're gonna move into the next area. So working with kids, it's weird because like I'm also a sexaholic, you know, separately, and and people ask me like, what's a sexaholic? And, you know, like they'll think they're funny asking that, and I'm like, you don't know? It means you're addicted to sexahol. It's just like, you know, and then people are like, what? What's that? I'm like, yeah, I really enjoy fucking in hallways. Like, what are you talking? Like, don't you know what this is, right? And the idea though is like that people feel like I'm comfortable about talking about sex, right? Like, I still remember I had this girlfriend, and what was crazy was I really enjoyed like fooling around and that type of stuff, but we also like, how do you know, sir? Are you in a relationship right now? Is this no? Is anybody in a really committed relationship? By a round of applause, anybody out there? Yeah. So how do you guys know, like in the bedroom, what makes it so that you are feeling like this is like advancement in the relationship? You know, you're like, what do you guys think?
I'll let you take that one.
That's always the answer. Can you please answer this? Oh my god, I don't want to handle this one. Let me tell you what I think it is. I think it's when you finally decide that anal is a possibility. That's what I think it's deciding. And I know that sounds uncomfortable, but it's just something that's it seems like advancement of relationship, right? That's what I think. That girl is disgusted right now. She doesn't even want to listen to the rest of this. So I ended up having a situation, I was in a relationship, and what happened was we were like talking about this, and it was like, oh, this might be a possibility, right? And then I was like, I think that's where this needs to go, let's try and figure that out. And then she was like, oh, it's not really for me, you know, that's not something that I'm really interested in doing. And I respected that, I totally respected that, and I was like, that's totally fine. She's like, how about we role play? That's what she said, right? And I was like, yeah, you know what, role playing, you know, that's good. You know, let's we role play a lot, you know, but I don't mind. Let's do that. I'll go get, you know, the Little Red Riding Hood outfit. No problem. I'll get the wolf gloves and everything. You know, I'll get the basket. You know, we'll do this in a little bit. No problem whatsoever. She's like, no. I mean, we can role play the anal. I was like, what does that even mean, right? Like, that made no sense to me. But anybody that's been in a relationship for a long time, when the lady suggests any type of, literally anything in the bedroom, you're like, yes. Whatever it is I'm in, you know, like, you're just in no matter what, you're just in, right? So she's like, yeah, this is what we're gonna do. We'll role play, we'll pretend that we're actually doing anal when we're actually just doing normal sex. And I was like, oh, okay, sure, let's try it, right? So we're fooling around, we're doing it, and she's like, oh, like, gives me a cue. She's like, my cue is like, I'm gonna point at you, right? And I was like, that's not sexy at all, but sure, let's do that, okay? Cool, give me finger snaps when you want me to go in the back door, I guess, right? Finger snaps me, and then I'm like, okay, cool. And then I like go to like put it in the other side, you know, or as you know, the whole Red Hot Chili Peppers stuff. On the other side, you know, okay. You know, that's what we were doing. That song was playing at the time. What a coincidence. And so this was happening, and then she's like, oh my god, that really hurts. Oh, and I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. She's like, I was like, oh shit, oh, you're really good at this. You're a really good actor, right? You're a really good actor at this. And she's like, oh, okay, that's true. Okay, this is great. Oh, I'm having a different orgasm than normal because it's, and I was like, okay, yes, let's keep doing this. This is great. And then when we finished, I was like, wow, that actually kind of worked. That kind of actually worked. And then she like went to stand up, and she was walking like this, like a little bit like, and I was like, oh my god, like, are you okay? And she's like, oh, you know, like winking at me, whatever. And then she's like, oh, this like really hurts. I feel like poo's gonna fall out of me. And I was like really weirded out by this, but she looked like right into my eyes when she said that. And then I was like, oh my god. And she's like, is this what you wanted? And I was like, that is some fucked up. I thought like that was like she should have like a course on training people on how to never do anal again in your relationship. Like that was the cue. I was like, I think I've done that shit. Like I'm never gonna try that ever again, right? Ever again. I have this joke that's it's very interesting. Okay, so I don't know if anybody's ever watched the Learning Channel. By the way, this is the not rated portion of my show. If anybody wants to put on their earmuffs. I was watching the Learning Channel, and there's a lot of weird documentaries on there, right? But there was a documentary, if anybody's ever seen it, it was actually called Two Bodies, One Soul. That's what it was called, right? Two Bodies, One Soul. It was about these two conjoined twins. They actually were connected here, and then the bottom half of their body was connected, and then they were actually here, and they each had like one arm, and then had two heads. Brittany is one of their names, and Allison. I did the research, and it was really interesting though because they each had their own hats, and like they had to each get a driver's license. It was very like intricate the way that they like lived their lives, right? And it was amazing seeing them shoot a basketball. I was like, that's some like fucking teamwork, right? That was amazing, right? But the craziest thing was actually Brittany, who was clearly the better looking one of the two. It happened, right? She had a boyfriend, right? She had a boyfriend who ended up becoming a fiance, who ended up becoming just about to get married. And to me, that would be really difficult to date these girls, right? Imagine how messed up that would be, being the guy who's in love with Brittany, and you're about to like walk down the aisle, and you have to look at the sister, and Brittany decided to not make the sister the maid of honor. Like, how weird would that be, right? But the most messed up part to me would be like the wedding night. Like how crazy it would be, you're like bringing her home, you know, and you're making sweet love to the woman of your dreams, the most beautiful woman that you've ever cared for. And at the exact same time, you're also raping your sister-in-law. That's so messed up, right? That's so fucked up to the point, it's like, and at the same time you're confused, because you're like, oh my god, this is like, I've always wanted to be in a threesome, but like, this is like a really weird one, right? Like, so I have one last thing, if you don't mind, before I get out of here. It's really crazy being on the show. I actually used to live here in Hong Kong, and the hardest thing about Hong Kong, I don't know if you guys ever, the language here, Cantonese, it's literally the most difficult language in the entire world. I've never heard one that's more fucked up and difficult. Let me just, they actually call it Cantonese because you can't learn it. It's absolutely impossible. It's literally the most difficult. Let me break it down for you. The word gao, that means 9. The word gao, that means dog. The word gao, that means bother. The word gao, that means old. The word gao, that means dumpling. The word gao, that means enough. You could actually say, Yo gao go go gao, gao bei gao, gao gao gao. That's a fucking sentence, guys. What? All I'm saying is if you ever had 9 tall dogs that were bonding to get an old dumpling, is that enough? That's how you would say it, just in case that ever happened to you guys. Just in case that ever happened. All right, guys, I gotta get out of here. Give it up for Tambi, putting on this wicked show for us. Love this shit. Thanks, buddy.
Thankful 10, everyone, all the way from Canada. Awesome. We are